Big interview time. We had Steve Letarte from our NASCAR and NBC coverage on a couple weeks ago. Now we can talk IndyCar with Townsend Bell, one of our analysts for the IndyCar series with NBC Motorsports. I know you're into this. I've seen you have some Supercross before. We have playoffs in our sport now for the first time, but more importantly, different venues, different types of tracks. Just talk about the chaos when something like this gets dropped into motorsports that's been pretty established for a long time, and then we throw a giant curveball into it.
Well, curveball indeed. Congratulations on a great event there at SMX Raceway. I was able to watch the highlights, and you're right, the track was truly unique. A little bit of Monster Jam maybe going on there with the start, the way the two lanes blended after the 180-degree corners. It was super fun. It reminded me a bit of Monster Jam, then blending into kind of straight rhythm on the start. So a lot of fun to watch. As an enthusiast, I'm constantly humbled by the skill, the athleticism, the bravery of the riders. But from a motorsports perspective, to answer your question, I think the curveball races are always ones that bring intrigue from everybody. The fans make their predictions, the drivers have their own assumptions or predictions about how things might play out. But the truth is, we never really know until we get to a new sort of format. In NASCAR this season, we saw it with the new street race in Chicago, and it was a wild card, Shane Van Gisbergen, that came in and beat all of the Cup regulars in that NASCAR street race. On the IndyCar side, we've had new street races like in Detroit this year, a brand new circuit, bumpy circuit. We've got some exciting things in the IndyCar series next year with a $1 million one race at Thermal in the desert. Non-points paying, but a race nonetheless. And so I think it's fun. I think it's important to mix it up in racing and frankly, keep everybody guessing.
Hey, one thing that they seem to have in common over the weekend, your championship finale there at the Laguna Seca, it looked like a Supercross. What we would call block passing contact. There was so much chaos there. The title had already been wrapped up by Alex Palou. So is there a chance that because the gloves were off, so to speak, it led to more chaos? Because they were going for it over the weekend.
Yeah, it was full send mode. Some of it was pretty regrettable, I think, in terms of decision making. At one point, I referenced Wolf of Wall Street and driving the Lambo home, but I think the basic idea was that you had so many drivers at the end of their contract with that current team. So you take somebody like David Malukas, a young American who's getting a big opportunity with McLaren next year. Elio Castroneves in his final full-time IndyCar event. You had Felix Rosenqvist. He's moving from McLaren to the Meyer Shank team. And then you had the championship, as you said, already decided. And I think when you put that combination together, it leads for the most part to a mentality of just absolute full send, zero consequence kind of attitude, like I'm only going for a win. And I think in the motocross, supercross world, that mentality at the start gate, more times than not, can lead to disaster. And it did in the IndyCar case this past weekend. So I think the biggest lesson for everybody in that race and for everybody watching is that the old crafty veteran that has won 6 championships, that always seems to stay out of trouble during chaos and keep a cool head, Scott Dixon, won again.
Yeah, I think you make a great point, and you can really watch some of the Supercross guys and their differing approaches. And I always come back to Jet Lawrence because he has completely changed the expectation for the Supercross world of what you should be doing at 19, and he just turned 20 years old. He would have typically, and if he was any other guy, he would have that mindset of, I'm just here to win, right? And we've heard Hayden Deegan say that on the podium time and time again. If I'm not winning, that's not good enough. Well, Jet Lawrence is willing to be patient and exude this patience and this strategy that most racers don't have, where Hayden Deegan looks like he would have been one of the guys with their IndyCar piled up on the side of the raceway at Laguna Seca, and Jet Lawrence would have been Scott Dixon bringing it home, right? And that they're so close in age, to me, is a really stark contrast there. And I think it speaks to just, everybody's still a racer, right? Whether you're racing a car or a motorcycle, and it doesn't matter which continent you're on, you're still a racer at heart, but how you go about it can really differ.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Jason, because in the IndyCar Championship, Alex Palou, the 2023 champion, is not a 40-year-old. He hasn't been doing this for 20 seasons like Scott Dixon. He's 26 years old. He's won his second IndyCar championship. And I call him the professor of precision, or sometimes the surgeon, because he is so methodical with his decision making, his inputs behind the wheel, making high percentage, high championship point scoring decisions. So in that regard, I see a lot of parallels between Alex Palou and Jet Lawrence. So yeah, I think it's really neat to see young people that can grasp that concept. I certainly couldn't. When I was a rookie in IndyCar, I was a full send kind of guy, and I paid the price for it in a lot of ways, professionally and physically. And so it is fun to see young riders or young racers really grasp that.
Thanks for your time. And yeah, when you go out there on the motocross bike, be careful. We don't want to hear about similar stories with you. Just have fun with it, right?
I've had my fill in my younger years. So I'm all about vet track, high percentage tabletops, and I'm generally good for about 2 or 3 laps. And I try to match my Advil intake to my lap count, and that seems to be a pretty good recipe formula for success.
All right, that's good advice. Yeah, on the Advil. I got to think about that one too. I'm already on the tabletop program. There's no doubt about that. Anyway, great IndyCar season in the books. You're going to come join us actually for the SMX finale in LA?
Yep, I live in LA, and go into the Coliseum for your finale is going to be, I've been waiting for it for a long time. It's been a while since we've seen bikes at the Coliseum, and it's going to be incredible. So can't wait to see you all there.
All right. Thanks for the time, Townsend. We'll see you next week. Okay, we're off to Chicagoland Speedway. Here's how you can watch. It's a return to what we would call a night race format. Peacock and the SuperMotocross Video Pass is the way to watch everything live. It starts at Race Day Live at 2:30 Eastern. Ryan Villapoto, Dan Hubbard giving you the qualifying coverage. We will have a pre-race show at 7:30 Eastern, and we go racing at 8 Eastern. Chicago is Central Time, so if you're a fan there, just keep in mind that the racing actually starts at 7 at the track. We will, however, have an encore on the big network, NBC, at noon Sunday. So that is awesome exposure for the superstars of this sport.
Hi, folks. Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.